Have you ever asked yourself if your biggest fear is loneliness, not the fear of getting lost in a crowd, nor the feeling of being abandoned when someone leaves? It's that feeling when you're all by yourself, in a quiet room, no phone, no music, nothing to distract you. At that moment, do you feel a creeping dread? Are you afraid of the eerie silence, or are you afraid of what you'll have to face when there's no one around to fill that void? Many of us tend to think that loneliness is simply the lack of social connection, a lack of friends or someone to share with. Yes, that's part of it. But I believe there's another much deeper kind of loneliness, one we often avoid at all costs. It's not the fear of lacking others. It's the fear of facing our true selves. Just imagine when all the external noise dies down, when social gatherings end, when your phone screen goes dark. Who are you left with? Only yourself. And in that moment, silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's the unavoidable presence of your own being. It exposes the voids we try to fill with work, entertainment, or superficial relationships. It reveals unanswered questions, suppressed emotions, or even uncomfortable truths about who we are. We're often so busy that we don't have time to listen to ourselves. We throw ourselves into work, social activities, and the virtual world to escape the moment of being alone with our own thoughts. But does avoiding it really solve the problem? Or is it just postponing an unavoidable conversation, a conversation with our deepest self, that unavoidable conversation, the one we keep pushing aside? What exactly is it? It's the raw, unfiltered confrontation with who you truly are, when there's nothing and no one else to hide behind. Think about it when you strip away the layers, your job title, your social roles, your relationships, even your hobbies. What's left? Just you. And for many, that silence, that emptiness feels terrifying. It's not the absence of others that's scary. It's the unavoidable presence of self. This discomfort, this raw exposure, is precisely why we instinctively reach for our phones, switch on the TV, or seek constant external stimulation. We're conditioned to believe that happiness comes from connection, from being busy, from not being alone. But what if that constant external focus actually prevents us from finding a deeper, more lasting fulfillment? This isn't a new idea, of course. Philosophers have grappled with it for centuries. One of the most profound thinkers on this topic was Søren Kierkegaard. The Danish philosopher, often considered the father of existentialism. He didn't see the anguish of loneliness as a weakness or a failure of spirit. Quite the opposite, actually. For Kierkegaard, that profound discomfort, that feeling of being utterly alone even when surrounded by people, was a spiritual alarm bell. It wasn't a problem to be fixed by finding more friends or more distractions. Instead, it was an invitation to authenticity. A stark reminder that we are responsible for shaping our own existence. He believed that this internal suffering, this dread of isolation, serves as a crucial mirror. A mirror that forces you to look deeply at yourself beyond the superficial roles you play and the expectations of others. It compels you to confront your freedom, the terrifying burden and beautiful opportunity to choose who you are, and your personal responsibility for every choice you make, every path you take. It's in these moments of true solitude, when you're stripped bare of external validation and external noise, that you are compelled to ask the most uncomfortable yet ultimately liberating questions. Am I living authentically? Am I being true to myself? Or am I just performing a role for others? What values genuinely drive me when no one is watching, when there's no audience to impress? Kierkegaard would argue that running from this inner confrontation isn't just about avoiding discomfort. It's about avoiding your own truth, your own potential for genuine selfhood. It's avoiding the very act of becoming a fully realized individual. Because until you face that reflection in the mirror of solitude, until you grapple with those deep-seated questions, you can't truly understand what you stand for, what you truly desire, or how to create meaningful purpose for your own life. You're simply existing rather than truly living. Let me share a hypothetical example. Maybe you've encountered someone like this or even felt this way yourself. Think about a hypothetical friend. Anne is always busy. Her calendar is packed from morning till night. Work meetings, gym sessions, coffee dates, evening classes, weekend trips. She's constantly surrounded by people, always on the go, always connected. Yet beneath all that frenetic activity, there's a restless energy, a subtle anxiety that she herself might not fully acknowledge. One day, her elaborate plans fall through. A friend cancels last minute, a class is suddenly postponed, and for the first time in months, and finds herself with an entire evening free, completely alone in her apartment. No plans, no one to call. For the first time, she's confronted with the silence. What does she do? She immediately grabs her phone, scrolls endlessly through social media feeds, starts binge-watching a new show, anything, absolutely anything to avoid the quiet. Why? Because the quiet for Anne isn't just quiet. It's an echo chamber where all the unspoken anxieties about her career, her relationships, her deeper sense of purpose, and her true identity start to surface. It's the place where she might have to admit to herself that all this busyness is perhaps a very elaborate and unconscious way to escape something far more fundamental, the profound question of who Anne really is beyond all the external noise and activities she fills her life with. So when you find yourself in that quiet space, what do you see? Do you embrace it? Do you lean into that discomfort, or do you instinctively reach for a distraction? What truths about yourself are patiently waiting to be uncovered in the silence? So what if, instead of instinctively reaching for that distraction, we chose to lean into that quiet? What if we saw that silence not as an empty void to be filled, but as a fertile ground for growth? This is where the crucial distinction between loneliness and solitude comes into play. Loneliness, as we just discussed, is often a painful, unwanted state, a feeling of isolation arising from a lack of connection. It's a deficit. But solitude. Solitude is something entirely different. It's a deliberate, conscious choice to be alone. It's an active, intentional engagement with oneself, a purposeful withdrawal from the external world to find something richer within. It's not about being empty. It's about being full of yourself in the best possible way. This discomfort, this raw exposure is precisely why we instinctively reach for our phones, switch on the TV, or seek constant external stimulation. We're conditioned to believe that happiness comes from connection, from being busy, from not being alone. But what if that constant external focus actually prevents us from finding a deeper, more lasting fulfillment? This isn't a new idea, of course. Philosophers have grappled with it for centuries. One of the most profound thinkers on this topic was Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher who was a staunch advocate for the power of being alone. Unlike Kierkegaard, who saw the pain in isolation as a path to authenticity, Schopenhauer celebrated the ability to be alone as a profound mark of greatness, a hallmark of a truly independent and self-sufficient mind. For him, the need for constant company, the inability to bear being alone, was a sign of intellectual poverty, a reliance on external stimuli to feel alive. Schopenhauer believed that an original mind, a noble spirit, doesn't need the constant clamor of the outside world to thrive. In fact, he saw true solitude as a sanctuary, a sacred space where the most profound thoughts, the deepest insights, and the most genuine inspirations flourish. It's where you can truly hear your own voice unfiltered by the opinions and expectations of others. He famously said, and I paraphrase that, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. If he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. For it is only when he is alone that he is really free." Think about that for a moment, freedom. Freedom from judgment, freedom from conformity, freedom to simply be. So while loneliness feels like a heavy chain, a burden you want to shake off, solitude is a powerful wing enabling you to soar. Loneliness drains your energy. Solitude recharges it. Loneliness makes you feel less incomplete. Solitude makes you feel more whole. One is a forced state of absence. The other is a chosen state of presence. And this isn't just abstract philosophy. Look at the lives of remarkable individuals throughout history. Take Isaac Newton, for example. He retreated to his family estate during the Great Plague of London, a period of forced isolation. And what happened during that solitude? He developed calculus, formulated his theories on optics, and conceived of the law of universal gravitation. His most revolutionary ideas came not from social interaction, but from profound, undisturbed solitude. Or consider Virginia Woolf, one of the greatest modernist writers. She famously advocated for a room of one's own, emphasizing the absolute necessity for women, and indeed for anyone, to have their own space, their own solitude free from interruption, to foster creativity and independent thought. Her literary masterpieces were born in the quiet depths of her own mind, nurtured by the conscious choice to be alone with her ideas. Even someone like Albert Einstein, a figure synonymous with genius, spent countless hours in deep contemplation, often by himself. His breakthroughs didn't emerge from bustling boardrooms or lively debates, but from the quiet work of a mind wrestling with the universe's greatest mysteries in solitude. He understood that true innovation often requires a departure from the noise of consensus. These are just a few examples. The pattern is clear. Many who have profoundly shaped our world, whether in science, art, or philosophy, understood that genuine insight and creativity often emerge not from constant connection, but from the deliberate, even cultivated practice of solitude. It's in that space that they could tune out the world and tune into their deepest selves, allowing original thought to emerge. It's about shifting your perspective. Instead of viewing being alone as a punishment or a void, what if you started seeing it as an opportunity to reconnect with your own thoughts, your own intuition, your own purpose? This isn't about becoming a hermit. It's about mastering the art of being fully present with yourself, so that when you do engage with the world, your connections are richer, your contributions are more authentic, and your sense of self is unshakable. We've talked about the profound power of choosing solitude, of embracing that quiet space to find your true self. But what happens if we don't make that choice? What happens if we keep running from that inner confrontation? This leads us to a concept many people intimately recognize, yet struggle to define: the inner void. It's that nagging feeling of emptiness, a sense that something crucial is missing even when your life looks perfectly fine on the surface. You might have a great job, loving family, a vibrant social life, yet there's this persistent, subtle ache inside. This void isn't about the absence of something external, but rather the presence of a profound deficiency within, a deep disconnect from our authentic essence. From a psychological perspective, this often stems from how we are conditioned from a very young age. Think about it. Our society constantly tells us where to find happiness, where to find validation. We're taught to seek approval from teachers, parents, peers, and later from bosses, colleagues, and social media followers. We learn to measure our worth by external achievements, by the number of likes, by our job titles, by what car we drive, or by the perfect image we project. This continuous external orientation trains us to look outside ourselves for fulfillment effectively, severing our connection with our own inner guidance system. We become experts at performing, at fitting in, at meeting expectations, but tragically we lose touch with who we really are beneath all those layers. The pressure to conform, to achieve, to be successful by external metrics is immense. It shapes our desires, our ambitions, even our self-perception. We adopt values and goals that aren't truly ours simply because they promise external rewards or acceptance. This constant striving to meet external expectations, to be who others want us to be effectively, makes us forget our true selves. We bury our genuine needs, our quiet longings, our unique quirks under a mountain of shoulds and musts. And that buried self, that neglected inner world, manifests as this persistent, unsettling emptiness. The consequences of consistently running from this inner void are severe and far-reaching. We become masters of avoidance tactics. We work excessively burying ourselves in projects convinced that productivity will fill the emptiness. We might turn to addictions, whether it's substances, gaming, shopping, or even just endless scrolling on social media. Anything to numb that unsettling feeling. We engage in constant entertainment, moving from one show to the next, one viral video to another, just to keep our minds occupied. We might even dive into superficial relationships, seeking external validation and distraction rather than genuine connection. But these aren't solutions. They are temporary bandages, and worse, they create a vicious cycle. The more we avoid the void, the deeper it becomes, and the more desperate we become to escape it. This perpetual state of avoidance often leads to chronic anxiety, a low-grade hum of unease that never quite goes away. It results in a pervasive feeling of inadequacy, where no matter what we achieve, it never feels like enough. We're constantly chasing something external, but the goalpost keeps moving because the problem isn't out there. It's inside. Consider Max, a brilliant young professional. He's got the dream job, an impressive network, and always seems to be having fun on social media. But in quiet moments, a gnawing emptiness creeps in. So what does Max do? He takes on more projects, volunteers for every committee, attends every networking event. His phone buzzes constantly with notifications, from work emails to group chats. Even at home, the TV is always on, or he's playing video games until late. He rarely sits in silence, rarely processes his thoughts. If he ever feels a flicker of discontent, he immediately plans another trip, buys another gadget, or throws himself into a new demanding hobby. He's terrified of being unproductive or bored because those feelings are just gateways to the void he's so desperately trying to outrun. His chronic exhaustion and underlying restlessness are symptoms of this relentless pursuit to fill an internal gap with external achievements and distractions, never truly addressing the root cause. This inner void, this feeling of something missing, isn't a sign of weakness. It's a signal. It's your deeper self calling out, trying to get your attention. It's telling you that the external solutions aren't working, and it's time to look inward. And that, surprisingly, is where the real journey begins. So if that inner void is indeed a signal, a call from your deeper self, then what does answering it look like? How do we actually embark on this journey of transforming the often feared state of loneliness into the empowering strength of intentional solitude? It's not a switch you flip. It's a process, a series of deliberate steps that lead to profound internal change. Here's a roadmap, a way to begin building that inner sanctuary we talked about. The first step, and arguably the most challenging, is acceptance. This means acknowledging and truly embracing the emptiness, the discomfort, the pain without judgment or resistance. When that feeling of something missing arises, instead of immediately trying to distract yourself, pause. Don't label it as good or bad. Don't fight it. Just allow it to be. This isn't about wallowing in negativity. It's about recognizing that this feeling is a part of your current experience. It's the first honest step towards healing, because you can't heal what you refuse to see. Imagine it like a wounded animal seeking care. First, you must acknowledge its wound, not pretend it isn't there. Once you've practiced acceptance, the next step is to deep dive inward. This requires courage. It means intentionally stepping into that quiet space and actively, bravely facing your thoughts, your emotions, even those dark corners of your psyche that you usually avoid. This isn't just passive reflection, it's active self-inquiry. Ask yourself, what am I truly feeling? What thought patterns keep repeating? What unspoken needs or desires are lurking beneath the surface? This can be uncomfortable, even painful at times, but it's through this courageous introspection that you begin to understand the roots of your void and reclaim your inner landscape. Journaling can be an incredibly powerful tool here. Writing down whatever comes to mind, no filter, no judgment. Following this deep dive comes self-listening. This is about cultivating a quieter, more attentive presence to your inner world. Dedicate regular quiet time, maybe just 5 or 10 minutes to start, to simply listen. Observe what's happening inside without trying to change it, control it, or fix it. Just listen. What is your intuition telling you? What insights arise when the external noise is gone? This isn't about finding answers immediately, but about building a muscle for inner awareness. It's like learning a new language, the language of your own soul. The more you listen, the more fluent you become. This could be during a quiet walk before bed, or even just sitting with a cup of tea, allowing your thoughts to flow without attachment. Finally, and this is where the transformation truly takes root, create an inner space. This is about building consistent personal habits that nourish your connection with yourself and with something larger, more enduring than fleeting external stimuli. This could mean dedicating time to reading books that challenge your mind and expand your perspective, practicing meditation. To quiet the mind and connect with deeper consciousness, engaging in writing. Whether it's journaling, poetry, or creative stories, to express your inner world, or exploring art in any form that resonates with you. Spending time in nature can also be profoundly restorative, grounding you and reminding you of your place in the vastness of existence. Think of these habits as the building blocks for your inner sanctuary, a sacred, fortified place within you where you can always retreat. Find peace and reconnect with your authentic self, no matter what chaos is happening outside. This sanctuary becomes your steady anchor. The benefits of embarking on this journey are immense, truly life-changing. You gain incredible clarity about who you are, what you want, and what truly matters. You cultivate profound inner peace, a calmness that isn't dependent on external circumstances. You develop genuine self-mastery, becoming the conscious architect of your own inner world rather than a slave to external pressures or subconscious fears. And perhaps most importantly, paradoxically, this journey into self-solitude equips you with the ability to build higher quality relationships with others. Because when you are whole within yourself, when you don't look to others to fill your voids, you can connect from a place of strength, authenticity, and true giving rather than neediness. As we close our conversation, remember this core message. What feels like loneliness is truly an invitation. It's a call to turn inward, to explore the rich landscape of your own being. When you embrace conscious solitude, it transforms from a feared void into a priceless gift, a source of strength, clarity, and genuine peace. It's time to stop running. Face the evolving person within. Start this journey. Build an unshakable relationship with yourself. Solitude isn't just being alone. It's a powerful choice, a profound homecoming, and a courageous new beginning for an authentic, fulfilling life. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What does facing yourself mean to you? Share your experiences in the comments. If this resonated, please like and subscribe for more deep dives. Until next time, nurture your inner world.